are there so many traps here? Why does Grandpa try to kill us? What even is this place? The answers to these questions lie far back in the past. This hostel was home to many orphan children. One of them was Edward Harrow, a gentle, innocent boy, yet strangely observant. One night he noticed a few seniors sitting together, drawing strange symbols on a piece of paper, asking it bizarre questions. Curious, Edward quietly watched them play that game all night. The next day, he overheard the name of that game from one of those seniors, ouija board. That very night, Edward tried to play the same game, but no matter how many times he tried to speak to a spirit, nothing happened. Disappointed, he gave up. But as he walked back to his room, he saw something odd under the big tree in the hostel park, a board lying on the ground. It had a word carved into it, ouija board. Intrigued, Edward picked it up, read the conditions written on the back, and decided to give it one last try.
Is there any ghost?
He tried again, still nothing. He began to leave, whispering to himself,
Is there any ghost?
Suddenly, the wooden piece moved. Edward's eyes widened in shock, in joy. He had made contact. Night after night, he started speaking to the ghost, asking questions, having conversations. One night, a strange idea crossed his mind.
Well, like in movies, you can transfer powers, right? Great. Then why don't you give me some of your powers? Like, can you make me immortal? That's so bad. Well, how can you get out from there? That's fine then. Bye, I gotta go. I'm sleepy now.
From then on, Edward made it a habit to talk to the ghost every night. Years passed. Eventually, he left the hostel in search of a job, and luckily he found a good one. Life was moving on normally, until one day memories of that old board returned. He once again reached out to the ouija board, determined to find a way to gain immortality. That's when it happened. During one of the sessions, he contacted a devil. A deal was offered. If Edward offered a sacrifice on every full moon night, he would receive immortality after 200 offerings.
But it didn't have to be a human sacrifice. Even an animal would do.
Tempted by this easy loophole, Edward accepted the deal. Edward purchased a remote piece of land and built a house right in the middle of the woods. He armed himself with a shotgun, packed his belongings, and moved in. From then on, every full moon night, he began offering sacrifices, mostly animals. And all was going according to plan, until someone entered his story. Her name was Margaret. Edward fell in love with her. They got married. Life felt full again. But Margaret began to notice strange things. Every full moon night, Edward would leave with a knife and shotgun, only to return hours later, covered in sweat and sometimes blood. One night, she decided to follow him. What she saw shattered her soul. In the woods under moonlight, Edward raised a knife, slit a deer's throat, and threw its body into the flames, muttering strange incantations. And then, the fire turned blue. Terrified, Margaret ran back home, breathless. She told her mother everything. Her mother was horrified and begged her to leave Edward immediately. Margaret agreed. When Edward came to take his wife back, Margaret's mother shoved him away and insulted him harshly. Something snapped inside Edward. He stormed back to his car, pulled out his shotgun. He killed Margaret's mother. Then he hid the body inside the same house and returned to his forest home. Soon after, Edward completed all 200 sacrifices. The devil kept his word. Edward Harrow was now immortal. He had no more use for his shotgun, so he hid it inside the house. The forest authorities began hunting down illegal hunters. One day, a forest officer reached Edward's property, and the moment he knocked on the gate, a crowbar smashed into his skull. Edward struck him down instantly, then hid the officer's body too. From then on, he always kept the house gate key with him, and even installed a helicopter on the roof, a backup escape plan in case a large police force ever arrived. And so Edward kept living, trapped in a forest house, haunted by his own secrets. It's Granny, his wife Margaret, but something is different now. She's older, tired, broken. She tells Edward everything. Her granddaughter is missing. She explains how that player ended up in their house, how unintentionally she caused him harm. Edward listens, saddened. Then he says the unthinkable.
Slendrina is dead, Margaret. No one can live without food or water for that long.
Granny collapses emotionally, but Edward isn't finished.
I know a way to bring her back. There's a ritual.
Edward takes Slendrina's doll, performs a dark ritual, and transfers her soul into a spider. Slendrina returns, but not in her old form. Now Grandpa tells Granny, but the player finds a way. He solves the traps, shoots both Granny and Grandpa with the hidden shotgun, knocking them unconscious due to the blast pressure. During his escape, he even shoots Slendrina's host body, but she doesn't die. Instead, the body dies, and Slendrina becomes a free ghost. The player escapes. When Grandpa regains consciousness and sees the main gate open, he panics. They've been discovered. Sooner or later, the police will find them. So Grandpa, Granny, and the ghostly Slendrina gather what they can. Then he moved to the new house.